Or you get the beat shit out of you? The shit beat out of you?
You get the beats shit out of you. Hello and welcome to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 1999 animated series Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
My name's Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies, Season 1, Episode 3, titled The Art of the Sucker Punch. Original air date May 10th, 1999 on UPN. Written by Brendan Small, Lauren Bouchard, Bill Brodus. Directed by Lauren Bouchard. Synopsis as per Home Movies Fandom Wiki. Brendan challenges local bully Shannon to a fistfight after learning of a confrontation between Shannon and Jason. That's the synopsis for the episode.
I liked this episode more than I thought it was gonna really bring anything to me. I was like, it's gonna be a fight episode. But the second he called, can we jump into it?
You want to jump into it already? Or?
Not really. I'll just say I really liked the villain of this episode. I really liked that, whatever you can say, the antagonist.
Shannon. I like that character. I like that character a lot.
I'm trying to do a doodle for each episode of a character that we see, and Shannon was the one I doodled in the corner here.
Good one.
Shannon's a good character. Well, before we jump into it, let's just take a quick little pit stop into the Cozy Creative Corner. Cozy Corner is just a quick little segment up top where we talk about something creative that we're consuming, producing, creating. Something we just want to throw out there as, a little cozy creative corner. So anybody want to go first?
I have three of the same thing. No, I'm joking. My favorite band of all time, I've been consuming almost every single day for the past year and a half, but I love Hers. I love it so much. I listen to both their albums every single day. I genuinely love that band so much.
Have you played songs by this band?
Not that you've heard, but I have listened to them.
For one of for that piece I sent you, I was commissioning. Basically, I was here, listen to Medieval by Hers. It's the feeling I was going for.
It's a mood.
It is a real. I love the band so much. I could go on and on about Stephen Fitzpatrick and Odin Lauding. Odin Lauding, I could argue, is the best bassist of all time. So, but that's only because I love him so much, and he's really good. I will definitely show you guys some of their performances later.
Nice. Do you have
I do.
a creative corner you want to jump into?
This is something I've been consuming. I've been reading a book series called A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a fantasy book.
A Court of Thrones and
A Court of Thorns and Roses, or for the people on Book Talk, ACOTAR.
What's ACOTAR?
It's the abbreviation of A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, I see. So it's like when I say Satkatu.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
There we are.
Yeah, it's very escapism, fantasy, gore, romance.
Like Game of... Oh, wait, you've never seen Game of Thrones?
No, I've seen a couple episodes here and there of Game of Thrones, but nothing.
Is it magical? Because in Game of Thrones, it's very low mag.
It's definitely high mag.
It's high magic.
High mag.
Okay.
A lot of other concepts are pretty Game of Thrones-y.
Oh,
but it's definitely the Fey world, and it's very high mag.
Yeah, I'll have reactions to things, and obviously Tim doesn't know what's going on because he's not reading the book. So I have to give him a very quick synopsis of what's going on, and he just, if I hate a character, he immediately hates them with me. He's so good.
Yeah, because they're the worst.
So good.
So it's basically you give Tim bedtime stories after you get through a chapter.
I should, yeah.
So here's what happened.
Only the sex chapters are going to be his bedtime story chapters.
Is there a lot of sex in there?
The first book, not so much. The second, I'm halfway through the third. There's quite a few sex scenes.
They be banging.
Yeah.
Yeah. In respectful way. In respectful ways.
Back in the days when I used to read a lot, back in school, I remember getting to chapters where there's sex involved, and I'm hiding it in the corner, oh my God, nipple.
Oh shit, it doesn't even faze me anymore.
And how about you, Tim?
Well, we have music and we have a book, so I think I'm gonna throw a podcast out there.
Nice.
One podcast that is pretty much I play all the time, and Adele can attest to this, is the podcast Freedom. I am obsessed with the podcast Freedom. It is my comfort podcast. I will re-listen to essentially every episode in between seasons. I'm sure it gets very old for Adele.
What is Freedom about?
Freedom is Scott Aukerman, who hosts Comedy Bang Bang, which is a very goofy podcast. And
I've listened to quite a few Comedy Bang Bangs.
and then Paul F. Tompkins, who is one of my
Paul F.
personal
Tompkins.
favorite comedians at the moment. And he's on so many podcasts, and I'll listen to every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then it's Lauren Lapkus, who has been on a lot of stuff.
Star-studded.
Yes. And it's just the three of them, and they just bullshit, and they're goofy, and they're silly, and I'm a big fan. And at the end of every episode, they do a little game called a Threecher. Sometimes it's super funny and hilarious, and sometimes it's an absolute train wreck. But
I completely forgot that Lauren Lapkus was on Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, she was a CO, like a corrections officer.
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black for a few episodes.
I only got through the first 3 seasons of Orange is the New Black before my then girlfriend at the time got mad at me because I said there was no nudity and sex because I wanted to watch the show, and then she found out and got real mad at me, so I stopped watching it after the 3rd season. But I've always wanted to go back.
That's why you always got to be honest about the nudity and sex.
But she was good. Then she wouldn't have. I wouldn't even got to season 3. I would have been
That's fair,
stopped at
that's
episode
fair.
1.
That's fair.
All right.
And I would have just had that great theme song stuck in my head forever.
It's such a good, it's such a good theme song.
Also, I just love Paul F. Tompkins. I love him.
He's one
so
of my favorites.
much.
And that he doesn't do characters; he's just straight Paul F. Tompkins and
Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's very popular, but also, in my opinion, very underrated. I think he deserves more roses.
Oh, I 100%. Not to just go to Paul F. Tompkins again. Have you seen or heard? This is a conversation for me and you afterwards. But have you heard of Dead Pilot Society?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the first episode with Paul F. Tompkins?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'm going to send that to you. It's a really good.
I'm
it's a really
familiar
good
with
episode.
the concept though. So
Yeah.
Hells yeah. Now, you guys ready to jump into this episode?
I really am.
Yeah.
A couple things I learned from the commentary this episode. The plot is loosely based on something that did happen to Brendan. It was loosely based on his first fight. I don't know if this was a joke or not, but Brendan Small, during the commentary, made an offhanded comment about the budget per episode on this show was $4,000.
Dang.
I don't know if that's true. It might have been a joke. But when he said it, I'm like, I mean, who knows? Who's to say?
But like, what is $4,000?
In 1999,
Yeah, that's different
it was
money.
like,
Yeah.
It's like
kinda-
$1 billion.
yeah.
I was gonna fucking say $4,000 if you handed it to me, it would change my life. I'd be like, are you kidding me? I'm rich, baby.
I'll take $4,000 right now.
Like many episodes with commentary, H. John Benjamin once again dunks on the squiggle vision. Brendan talks about how the few positive reviews of early episodes still complained about the animation style. So, yeah. And then just a little something let's keep an eye out from here on out. A little running theme in home movies. Unbeknownst to the writers, the animators put a garden gnome in almost every episode. I
Okay.
think from here on out there will be one. Obviously, the end of this episode, there's one when Brendan's
Yeah.
dancing around.
But there wasn't in the first two?
I don't recall if there was or not. I think I remember looking out for it, and I don't remember seeing one in episode 1 or 2. But they're sometimes it's pretty obvious, and sometimes it's a little more subtle. So it's a fun game we can play. Look for the garden gnome.
Yeah. I marked in my notes that this episode had a gnome.
Nice.
How
Where
many
to find it?
is it only starting here?
They talk about it in the commentary for this episode, so I don't know if it's starting here, but it's definitely a reoccurring bit throughout the series.
Okay, I don't remember any in the past two.
No, I don't think
either. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, sometimes it's literally like a scene where it's establishing shot of a school or a building and there's a garden gnome sitting in the lawn.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's a lot more subtle. All right, let's hop into this episode. It opens. Jason is knocking at the door of the small residence, head to toe covered in mud. Not 1 inch of his body is clean. And he is doing the absolute child thing of being like, yeah, can I come in?
When I saw that like lump of brown coming across the stream, I was like, I think I know who this is. I was
You sensed it.
Should have known.
Yeah. you know, obviously Paula is calling for Brendan. Brendan is doing the little kid thing of like, yeah, okay, come on, is it Jason? Tell him to come in. So they're outside, they're hosing Jason down, and he's explaining what happened. He walked by, a gentleman named Shannon and his brothers said hello, which was cue for them to beat him up and cover him in mud. So Brendan gets like weirdly defensive of Jason.
That's his friend.
But then simultaneously, like, totally dogs on him.
That's his friend.
We'll be like, you know, he brings it upon himself.
The thing is, I did write, Jason does bring it on himself. I wrote it right there.
I liked it when they're like, Jason, they can't do that to you. And he's like, no, they can.
I also wrote that. No, they can. No, they definitely can.
So Brendan's getting like really worked up about it. He gets outraged. He says he needs to go get his camera. And Jason points out, like, yeah, a lot of those things he said about me was very insulting.
Yeah. Did you feel bad for Jason at all in this episode? Since you hate him?
I did write down, like, very early on, Jason is gross yet again. And then I put in parentheses, never mind, not his fault this time. So I'm trying to give him the fair shake.
You're being nice.
You thought he just walked up covered in mud like a
fucking
Like a
gross
Tuesday.
human monster. Yeah, a little bit. I was like, there he is again. First thing in the episode.
the hell, yeah.
Jason has clearly shat himself, and he's just okay with it. Like that was my first thought.
He shat himself on the walk and wanted to cover it up.
Yeah.
So he walked through mud.
Yeah. What are you covered in? Don't worry about it. Let me come in your home, please.
The next scene, Brendan is calling Shannon, and he's calling him out for bullying. He wants to make an appointment for a fight Wednesday at 3:30. My favorite part is when Shannon is like, "What? Who is this? Who are you?" And he's like, "You might have seen me around. I'm short, red hair." And he's like, "Yeah, 3:30 works. Great. Let's go. Perfect."
Do you have a doctor? What's your doctor? Do you have allergies? Do you have a seizure or anything that would make you look kind of okay?
Yeah, anything that would gain you, you know, a little sympathy. So yeah, he's literally like giving him pointers. He's telling him, "Hey, do some cardio, work out a little bit." It seems like Shannon might be a little more experienced at this.
When you first saw this episode, what did you think of Shannon immediately?
What did I think of him?
Yeah, like, because I was very conflicted throughout this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I had any, like, solid feelings towards him, other than he's ugly, but that's pretty much everybody in the show. Yeah.
Because the second I saw him, I thought they were doing a joke, like, oh, that's the mom, just because, like, I expected in the 90s because he was wearing an apron to be, you know, the mother of that. And then when he's starting being pretty nice to Brendan, I was like, oh, he's just, hey, yeah, I'm not mad at you for calling me. Yeah, we can do a fight. That's cool. And I was
he's
like,
chill.
All right, this guy's got something going on.
Let me ask you this. Now that we've had the phone call with Shannon, what did you think of Shannon's voice?
I think it was kind of funny. It gave me kind of Squidward vibes.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Now, my question, and I'm sure you don't, do you know who voiced Shannon?
No,
Is it
not at all.
Squidward?
Yeah, it was Squidward.
I'm Squidward.
No. Shannon was voiced by a comedian named Emo Phillips.
Oh.
Are you familiar with Emo Phillips? Emo Phillips talks like that. That's his, like, normal voice.
Oh, he's got it already up.
Oh.
I've seen Emo Phillips live.
Can never be Mormon because they don't drink coffee. I said to this Mormon, a cup of coffee every day gives you wonderful benefits. He said, there's one.
I love the way he talks, though.
And that's him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his personality. That's the way he talks, the way he moves on stage. He is hilarious. I've seen him. So he headlined a comedy festival. It was about an hour away. And this was when I was like 1 year into comedy. So we went to this comedy festival. He headlined. He absolutely crushed. And then next door, there was at a bar, there was an open mic. So I went there with a bunch of comedian friends. We went to the open mic afterwards. And then he walked in. He just like walked in.
Shit.
And, you know, people were talking to him and shit like that. And everyone's like, oh my God, I love your comedy. And I'm just like, yo, I love you, Shannon, on home movies. And he's, oh, thank you.
Nice.
Did he have the same berries and cream haircut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Berries and cream.
That video I showed you was a more recent one. But he used to always have that kind of haircut. Yeah.
Did he see you go up at the open mic?
No, he came when the open mic was over.
He knew. He knew.
Very smart. Very smart.
Is he real quick? Is Emo Phillips your favorite comedian, or do you have a favorite comedian?
I would say right now my favorite comedian is probably Paul F. Tompkins.
Yeah,
just because I've been consuming so many of his podcasts. Stay at Homekins is one he does with his wife.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. So because I listen to so many of his podcasts, I've been going back and revisiting his stand-up specials.
Okay,
and
yeah.
they're just so good.
I think I've seen one of them just because I loved him as Mr. Peanut Butter, and then I watched it and I was like, oh damn, this guy kills it every time. Yeah, and he was on The Worst Idea of All Time like 4 different times, so I was very big fan.
He was
anyway.
talking about this is now the Paul F. Tompkins podcast.
Yeah.
Or his first podcast, Pod F. Tomcast.
Oh, that's such a good...
He's brilliant, yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, enough about my hero, Paul F. Tompkins.
Well, I just did go into the coach is correct. I wrote down, quoting him under "fighting is wrong." So you're already there. Just get down on the mud. Just come on.
Oh, when he's talking to Coach McGurk. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, the scene before that, though, real quick, is the one where he is flexing into the mirror and his camera at the same time. And I love that scene. You know, his mom comes down and is like, you can't just like make these things happen so you can film a movie around it. And he's like, oh, no. And then when she's like, are you talking to me or flexing your muscles? And he's like, yeah, like, can it be a little bit of both? But yeah, then that scene we have him talking to Coach McGurk. And yes, Coach McGurk's fatherly advice is if you're going to fight, you're already doing wrong. So fight wrong as well. Fight dirty.
I agree. I wrote that down. Coach is correct on that front.
Fighting is dirty, and as he said, you're already at the party. You're already. I love that. I say that a lot. You're already
at the party.
I've never been in a fight. No.
That was actually my question.
You want to get into that?
Well, I talked about it, I think, last episode that I got into a fight.
I think you touched down briefly.
Yeah, I got into a lot of fights because of my masculinity was at stake at every corner. And, so I got into like weird. There's one time this guy got into my face and said my haircut was gay, and I couldn't have that in 6th grade. No, I couldn't wear that on my shoulders, so I threw him to the ground, and then everyone said that was the craziest fight they ever seen. It was just me pushing him. and I stood on that. I popped my collar when I walked into school the next day. I was like, yeah, I pushed that guy down.
Oh shit, I did push a girl once.
That counts.
Does that count?
That counts in my book.
It was during day camp, and she called "In sync, in stink," and it's just a line that you can't cross with me.
You just
and I was like, you don't say that to me.
And did she get up?
I didn't push her that hard. It was hard enough to make a point.
She never got back up.
Stay down. You stay there and think about what you said to me.
I never ask Amy the things I've said about NSYNC or Backstreet Boys because.
Tim.
Who's your favorite NSYNC member?
Oh, that's tough. I don't think I had a favorite growing up. I just loved their music.
Oh well, America
did. I didn't relate to the whole like picking like the Justin Timberlake was so cute. Like I just really liked their music. I didn't. I was 6 years old. They were grown men to me. Like I didn't.
I constantly mixed them up with Backstreet Boys.
I can see that.
Constantly.
I can see that.
Of course. Oh, another part from the scene with Brendan talking to Coach. Mm-hmm. The coach is like, I got in a fight just last week. And he's like, oh, yeah, with who? He's like, that kid David.
That kid.
And Brendan's like, he runs his mouth. He's like, yeah, not anymore, he doesn't. So his dad's like, Coach is just completely chill with getting in a fight with a child.
Oh, man. That happened quite often.
Yeah. So you've been in quite a few fights?
Yeah, I'm not a tough guy. It was in like school in wrestling. Yeah, when I was in high school. And it was like stupid fights, just like
I've never punched anyone in the face.
You want to fix that?
No, I do not.
Okay, good. It hurts your knuckles.
I've been punched once. It was in junior high. Mm-hmm. It was between me and this kid named Dustin, and I was making fun of him. I put him in a headlock, and I broke his glasses. And he punched. The only way I can describe this is he punched me like he was knocking on a door. Right. So he punched me like this, like right here, and it like hit my nose, and maybe like 1-2 little drops of blood came out. I didn't fall down. I didn't cry. Nothing like that. And this kid's like, runs up to me. He's like, you got knocked the F out. And I'm just like, bro, I am literally standing here.
Yeah.
And the kid did it. And I said, you know what? Deserved.
Fair is fair.
Absolutely fair. I shook his hand. I said, sorry about your glasses.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was pretty much that.
Were there any ever scheduled fights in your high school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
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 I saw there was one that took place in the boys' locker room, and so my friend Josh filmed it for me because I can't go in the boys' locker room.
I was going to say, I thought you were like, you showed up. I was like, what? Who
I
gave
can't
you
go
the
in.
credentials?
Yeah, Josh filmed it, and he showed it back to me. It was just these two guys rolling around on the ground. It wasn't anything.
Well, that's what a real fight is, honestly. You start like getting into it, and then it doesn't matter how good you look. You're like,
Yeah. Fights in movies and TV shows are not how
No,
fights
I was
look
expecting
or
John
sound.
Wick quality
Yeah, me too.
filmography.
Same. The first fight I got into, I was like, all right, I know. I've seen The Matrix. I know how this is going to work. And there's this weird skate park we had outside our middle school. It wasn't weird, except the corner of it was fenced off, and there's an entire forest hiding this corner, and then this half pipe created essentially a pit. To like all the kids would be standing on the half pipe looking down at this fight, so
Oh,
it was like
shit.
it was a gladiator like
That's
game.
so epic, though.
It was, and then we witnessed a lot of fights there. But the first time I was put in that arena, I was so fucking scared.
Oh, I bet being in there is super intimidating with all these children above you.
And they're
staring at you.
chanting, so it's like "Ooga chaka, ooga chaka."
Fucking Lord of the Flies.
It was dude. The first time I was there, I was scariest. Like, I knew I wasn't one of the boys when I was there because I was looking down at everyone. Was like, oh, yeah, this is great. I'm like, that kid's hurt, dude. He's bleeding down there. That hurt.
Dude, I don't watch UFC. I'm not a big fan of any of that stuff.
I can't.
No.
Especially with, like, knowing what CTE does to somebody and concussions and everything. It really does knock your brain around. It can change the outlook of your entire life after that.
When it comes to fighting, I'm more of a Brendan than a Shannon.
You mean you're a lover?
Yes. I'm a lover, not a Shannon.
Well, we watched the two creator clashes, and that was rough to watch. Just watching them get the people that you watch regularly on
Yeah.
YouTube get the shit beat out of them.
Yeah.
I watched
You're
a
like,
game.
no,
I watched the Game Grump get the shit kicked
Aaron.
out of him. Yeah, I saw Aaron.
Aaron, no.
When it was two content creators you actually like fighting, you're like, oh no, I don't
Yeah.
know which one to root for.
When I was watching, oh God, what are their names? The guys who had a NASCAR that said you just got passed up by two rich YouTubers. They're on a hiatus right now. They're Nate's favorites. They were.
Oh, I know who you're
ones.
talking about.
Super Mega.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
When they, I watched. See, I forget which one's which. I think it was Matt who went out there.
And got his absolute clock
by Dad.
cleaned.
Yeah. It was,
No, that was that Matt or was that,
was
Ryan?
That's Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Matt got fucked up.
Yeah, by
And
Dad.
He did not take that seriously, and he picked the wrong person
Yeah.
to go up against.
That was such a good fight for it to start off with, though. It
Oh,
was
just a
insane.
complete knockout.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was actually like, I would rather get knocked out within the first 10 seconds of a fight, or than have to go 10 minutes of a fight like Ryan.
Like Ryan did, yeah.
Ryan did, and by the end, like everyone's like, he's a champion just because he made it that long. But oh my God,
His was a good fight.
Yeah, wrestling for as long as I have. Oh my. It is such a nightmare when you're in it because you're, I just want some water. I just want some water. And then eventually they like, do you know how many times I just let people pin me? I was like, I'm done. I'm over. Let's go.
Hey, this is a whole movies podcast.
Sorry.
Darn it. No,
Sorry.
we're fine. I knew this was happening, especially when it comes to an episode about fights.
Also, Tim said this was ADHD friendly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
It is. I gotta get us back onto the track.
You're not wrong.
Next scene, Melissa is interviewing people for Brendan's fight documentary. She interviews Dwayne, who, like, Dwayne talks like you would assume a 14-year-old in 1999 talks. So she interviews Walter and Perry, the two little kids she interviews together. Walter and Perry are reoccurring characters. Some people find them very, very funny, and some people find them very, very obnoxious.
I wrote in my notes that Walter and Perry give me the creeps.
I wrote that they are both Muppets.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, that is a very accurate description. Probably, it says for some reason, but probably because it's their first appearance. Their personalities in this episode were switched. So they were probably just pinning down the characters. They're voiced by Brendan and H. John Benjamin, right? Just doing like little annoying little kid voices. Probably just in a matter of pinning the characters down. This episode only, their personalities are switched. But yes, Walter and Perry are reoccurring characters. They do a very obnoxious interview where they laugh constantly. They say that their sister got beat up by Shannon, that their mom got beat up by Shannon. I think Perry says that he got beat up by Brendan. And Melissa's like, Brendan Small? He's like, yeah.
I thought that was going to be more of a plot point when they said that. I was like, oh, Melissa's going to get real pit. No, she just forgets about it.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty obvious they were full of shit. So now we're in the basement. Melissa is filming Brendan. He is punching a turkey, I guess,
with a socks over his face.
Yeah.
Real high budget stuff there. And then just Brendan and Jason get into it. Jason is really upset. He feels like, hey, you've been filming this documentary 2 days. It's been all about you. Don't forget what this is about, man. This is about me. This is about me get dragged through the mud. And they go back and forth. I like that Brendan is wearing the big bad Brendan Small.
Yeah.
He's got the robe. It's a big bad Brendan Small.
I really liked that because Jason was like, you're stealing the limelight. And then it cut to the back where he's wearing the robe. And he's like, I created this limelight.
Yeah.
Very Ric Flair thing to say. And I really enjoyed that shot.
Jason is wearing a T-shirt that says Team Brendan. I think Brendan's T-shirt has Shannon with like a circle and an X through it.
Mm-hmm. In Brendan's America.
Yeah. So it gets pretty heated, and finally Jason yells, "I hope you lose the fight, and I hope he drags you to the mud like he dragged."
Jason jinxed the whole fight with that.
Yeah. Jason losing his shit, which happens a lot, is so funny to me. that voice when he loses it. But
I just think about the Godzilla scene where he was just like, come on, why you keep hitting him? He's like, who keeps hitting? And it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, when he's the guy who turns into a monster whenever he has to give a speech.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
God, that's funny.
And this is all because Jason truly feels like, yeah, man, you're losing focus on the plot here. This whole thing started, yeah, you're getting in a fight, but this is because of me. And he wants an interview. That's all he wants, is he wants the interview. So we cut to the interview, and he says, okay, Shannon dragged me through the mud, and now Brendan's gonna fight him.
He just wanted to be included.
He did just want to be included.
Poor
Also, I
Jason.
want to say, as far as a narrative goes, Brendan really did miss the mark by filming him first. You got to film him first. He's the inciting incident.
Yep. See,
It's almost like Brendan is more concerned with himself.
I did actually start picking up on that.
Yeah.
When he was wearing the big bad.
The big bad Brendan Small.
I really liked that.
Okay, so next, Melissa is filming Brendan. He's running in place and punching the air outside. They got a heckler. The guy next door sticks his head out the window and starts yelling, "You're gonna lose!" Brendan is getting a little upset. He's like, "We'll edit him out," but the guy he keeps yelling at him. He moons him at one point, and Melissa starts filming. Brendan's like, "Please don't." Don't film
that. It's gonna make me look stupid. Yeah. When they showed the butt, I was very surprised. I don't know why I expected something like that to be censored.
Well, especially because we're still talking 99 on UPN.
Yeah.
This is part of the UPN 5. And I think, what was it, last episode, or maybe the first one, Brendan says Jesus.
Yeah.
And they bleeped it out on UPN. So, no, you're right. The fact that they show, I mean, yeah, it's animated, but whatever. But yeah, that dude, he just stuck his whole ass butt.
He just was out here.
Different time. You can show butts, but you can't say Jesus.
Oh, what else can you show?
I think one of my favorite parts is when Brendan gets frustrated and he's like, "Where are you going?" And Brendan's like, "Home." And he's like, "Going home to lose." And Melissa's laughing at him too, which of course doesn't make him, feel much better. Now Brendan, next scene, he's talking to his mom. She's like, "Yeah, you're smarter than this." They do a little role playing where Paula plays the role of Brendan. Brendan plays the role of Shannon. She's like, "Oh, I don't want to fight." And he's like, "Whatever, you're the biggest wimp I've ever seen." And, she's like, "All right, yep, you win." She gives Brendan like the most innocent little headlock kind of noogie thing And Brendan loses his shit. Brendan is like crying. He's like, my ear. He's like yelling at her. He's like, you took it serious.
You were serious. I was joking.
I wrote this down during that scene, which is the mom is the best, which is, you know, she's just being very nice and very, very jokey with the situation, like cares about him. So watching that, and then he starts crying and she actually gave a shit. She's like, I barely touched you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, she felt bad. Yeah, Brendan storms off to his room. The next scene, they do this cool thing. The opening, I think it's back from a commercial break, but Dwayne is sitting on, like, the sign for the park, and it's playing, like, the music that's, like, the coming back, and it's like the bam, 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 and he's actually playing that on his guitar as it like pans past. Yeah, which I thought was like a cool thing because, you know, Dwayne essentially represents Brendan when he was more like 15, you know, and not like 8 like they are. And, you know, he does write the music for home movies. So it was kind of a, I don't know, just a cool little thing that they did, especially this early on in the show. I mean, we're on like, what, episode 3? So
I was going to say, I'm trying to keep track of it all.
I like Dwayne.
I was going to point this out last time when he first showed up. There's a channel on YouTube called Your Favorite Martian, and when Dwayne showed up, Your Favorite Martian has an animated band similar to Gorillaz, but the drummer looked exactly like Dwayne, so but like just older. So I don't know if they took an idea of what Dwayne looked like and created the drummer. I'll show you a picture of that later.
Well,
but
I just finished a recap for a later episode. I think episode 6 we see Dwayne's band.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the title of the band because I feel like it's going to be a good bit.
Okay. All right. So we're in the park. Jason is massaging Brendan's shoulders. So, okay, we're cool again. You know, we're all on good terms. Jason got his interview. He's happy. Brendan's doing a little shadow boxing. Jason's like, what are you going to do to him? And Brendan's like, I'm going to punch his butt. He's like, okay, all right. Then what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to punch his butt again. He's like, okay. And then after that, I'm going to kick his butt. And Jason's like, all right, let's get away.
Let's get away from the butt.
Let's get away from the butt. So coming from Jason, that's saying a lot.
Was this when they were going to do the fight, or was he still training?
I think this is like maybe right before, because the next scene, Jason's squirting the water in his mouth. I think he's doing maybe the cardio that Shannon recommended.
Right, okay.
A little pre-fight. Jason squirting water in Brendan's mouth. Melissa's like, you pumped? He's like, yeah, practically yes. He walks over to Shannon, introduces himself, shakes his hand. I like Shannon notices the video camera, and he's like, I am responding to a threat to my life. And then, you know, Brendan's like, okay, so how do we do this? Do you like try to hit me and then I dodge it? And then Shannon just beats the crap out of him, man. Yeah. Holy cow.
I did write, why is Shannon a cool guy?
Why do I love Shannon?
Why is this reasonable and respectable?
I love he is like, this is called the Tasmanian footlock.
You cannot
get out of this. He's like looking at Melissa, asking for the footage. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably a good clip for Shannon's reel.
Yeah. The fight thing was very funny, and I think it was very what I witnessed as far as the fights go, and especially young kids. It's just a couple punches, you're holding a guy down until he gives up.
Right.
Yeah, it was very kidly. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, accurate. I liked it. Yeah, good stuff. So next scene, Paula is consoling Brendan, telling him he's not a fighter. Brendan's like, that happened much faster than I thought it would.
The putting 3 pillows behind his back. My mom used to do that all the time. It's such a mom thing.
3 pillows?
Just putting pillows upon pillows under when you're like sick or
not feeling well.
Okay.
Or you get the beat shit out of you. The shit beat out of you.
You get the beats shit out of you.
The beat shits. You got to get your 3 pillows.
Yeah. She makes a I really like this part. She makes a comment about how Brennan's a really unique guy, and he's gonna make some woman or man like him for that. And Brennan's like, yo, why not both?
Hell yeah. 1999.
I was gonna say I underlined the mom is the best after she said that.
Yeah, I put LGBTQ support with a little heart.
I was like, is that why UPN said fuck that?
Ooh, showing their butts.
I mean, the butts, Jesus, and gays?
Wow. Well, it's for the best. They went to Cartoon Network.
I think so.
Yeah.
The next scene is a very quick conversation between Coach and Brendan. I think I'm going to play this one.
Okay.
This is one where Coach is asking. Let's just break it
Brendan,
down.
did you do any of the stuff I showed you? Like, did you do the crab or did you do the cobra?
No,
Did you do the wild ape?
no,
Did you do the crazy donkey?
no, I didn't.
Did you do the ventriloquist?
What one was that?
You didn't do that one either, huh?
I guess I didn't do that one.
Did you do the wacky lobster?
Coach.
I did write down what is the wacky lobster.
And for some reason, Coach is in like a karate gi for this whole scene.
I'm more interested in what the ventriloquist is.
Considering it's fighting dirty, I got some ideas.
Oh, shit.
The wacky lobster. Just feel like you're cutting things.
One of my favorite scenes, the next one, it's Brendan and Melissa, and they're sitting under the bleachers, and they're talking about the fight. Melissa makes a couple comments about how usually when things like this happen, you know, people get the story wrong or it's exaggerated, but she's like, no, they got it completely right on.
There's no embellishment. You get the shit kicked out of yourself.
I guess one running bit is she does make a comment. Well, some people are calling you Brendan, some people are calling you Brandon, you know. And he's
That
got
redheaded guy.
Yeah. So she also makes a comment too about how, because Brendan's like, well, Shannon doesn't even go to this school. And she's like, well, yeah. So everybody at this school knows it because of you, and everybody at his school knows it because of him. But the thing is, Shannon lives like right down the street from Brendan. So it's not like, I mean, unless the school district is cut like right, they're both right on the edge.
Shannon goes to a private school.
But the other thing is, and again, this is, I mean, it's like a silly continuity thing, but it's like pinning stuff down. Shannon is seen on Brendan's soccer team, I think in episode 1.
Oh, shit,
it
you're
flashes
right.
to him like real quick on the soccer team. So
How old is Shannon?
he said in the very next scene that he's turning 8.
So how old is Brendan?
I
8.
believe they're all 8.
So he got beat up by a 7-year-old, technically.
Oh.
Yeah. A 7-year-old who knows how to fight.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
And is polite.
Very polite. I kept going back and forth on, because at one point I crossed out why is Shannon a cool guy. So
Well, I'll say this. I think we were all thinking it. Does Shannon low-key have a crush on Melissa?
I was thinking that the
Yeah,
entire
I felt
time.
that.
Melissa has got your camera here, and oh, that's my camera. Melissa can bring your camera.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens in the next scene. Shannon calls Brendan and he invites him to his birthday party. He's like, we got a clown. We got a guy. We get drunk and we make fun of
We
him.
make fun of him. It's kind of a clown.
Yeah.
Do I amuse you? What am I, some sort of clown? Bet you think I don't need a gun either. That was a John Sean bit.
Yeah. Like you said, he says, tell Melissa to bring her camera. He says, well, that's my camera. He's like, well, tell Melissa to bring your camera. Emo Phillips does get a writing credit on this episode because, like, you know, most of this it was retroscripted, of course. So a lot of what he said was improvised. So he mentions he's registered at Toys R Us, which also kind of
That was a good bit.
sign of the time.
R.I.P.
Is it? I thought it was still, they brought it back.
It's around in a particular place that we used to work for, and I don't know.
That's fair.
Is it called Toys R Us? I
It's
thought
like
it
a
was
toy- I
called
think
Jeffrey's Toy Chest or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's just a section of a department store.
It's called Jeffrey's Island.
No.
Sorry.
And that's going to be the end of the podcast, folks.
Where was it?
Correct.
Yes, where were we? Sorry.
You're good. Next scene, Brendan is on the phone with Melissa, and he is talking about Shannon's scheme. He thinks it's a scheme to invite him to the party and be the better man. Brendan says he's not going to let him win, so he's going to be the even bigger man. He's going to go to the party. He's going to bring a present, eat food, have fun, and then he'll be the best man. Beat him at his own game. So yeah, it is kind of weird, I guess, for Shannon to invite him to the party. I guess I understand why Brendan's skeptical.
I think this was before I crossed out why is Shannon a cool guy, because I was still like, this guy's a cool guy. He's inviting him to the party. He's trying to be cool. He's trying to branch out. Didn't he say he was new to the?
Yeah, new to town.
Yeah, he was new to the
Yeah.
neighborhood, which is weird since he was in the first episode. But
Yeah.
so that he seems pretty cool. Seems pretty kind.
Another thing that cracks me up about Shannon is Melissa says it at the beginning, he has a lot of brothers. And when it's showing his brothers, especially at the party scene. One of his brothers is reading a magazine called Street Fight. The other brother has like a little, it's like one of those little puppets that like punches. So it's like, I think this is just like a house of all boys who are into like fighting and wrestling and
Shannon the oldest.
it seems like it.
Yeah.
When Brendan calls Shannon initially, it seems like Shannon is almost taking over a parental role. He's like cooking, and so
They're latchkey
I've
kids.
I've never seen, even in the next scene, the party scene, that you don't see Shannon's parents.
No.
Very Brock from Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Don't.
So.
Gotta catch 'em all. All right. Reeling it in.
No, we're good. I
we
need
can
to
do the
let
rest
these
of the song?
I need to let these tangents go so we can advertise this as a home movie / Pokemon / Paul F. Tompkins /
Slash knowledge fights.
yeah, all of them.
That's when they went to the party and when they were all like talking and showing the brothers, I thought there was going to be more to that. Like when Brendan called Shannon initially, I thought he wasn't Shannon. I was like, Shannon's one of the other kids, but then they never come back up, and then they're just constantly fighting. When they came back and he's like, people don't like me at the party when they finally showed up. By the way, the gift was green and orange. But when they showed up and they gave him the gift, and Shannon was, basically, oh yeah, people don't like me. You're the only ones that showed up. And she's like, oh, it's early. The people are coming. No, you're a half hour late.
Yeah. Brendan and Melissa, Jason get to Shannon's party. And they're, like you said, they're the only ones there. Jason seems super uncomfortable around Shannon, obviously. Shannon even says, oh, I didn't recognize you without mud. Like, aw, come on, man. Brendan's like, are we the first ones here? And Shannon's like, yeah, no, you're the only ones that showed up. Shannon does seem kind of upset. I like Melissa's like, did you only invite people that you've beat up? And he's like, yes, it should be packed.
I was like, this man's a killer. He's out here. He's just dropping them.
Shannon is upset. He says he feels like nobody likes him. And Brendan is like, well, you are potentially a very threatening person. Maybe you should be nicer. And if you stop hurting people, then maybe more people would start to like you. Shannon's like, yeah, maybe you're onto something there. And then I would just like to add, and then says surprise. And a bunch of people jump out.
I think that was the part where I crossed out, why is Shannon a cool guy?
Right. So Brendan immediately is like, yeah, you humiliated me. And I think even you were like, did he?
Yeah, I was like, I think he just showed everyone how good of a guy he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I like right before he revealed it, when he's like, oh, we could have a good time right now. He's like, no, I want to resolve this. That really got me.
Yeah. One of the people they show when they jump out in surprise is Walter and Perry is there. Dwayne is there. They reuse the babysitter from the previous.
I
didn't even notice.
I didn't notice
really
that
quick.
either.
I don't even think they have a speaking line. I think it's just between everybody that shows up.
Yep, just saw her. Yep.
Boop. And that's actually, we'll get to who's standing next to them in the couple episodes from now.
Wait, is that?
That's the babysitter. This is Lonnie.
I see.
Yep.
I want to write this down as a theory.
Yeah. I like the part where Brendan, Jason and Melissa are all talking at the party. Brendan is talking about how they made him look like a jerk, but I mean, like, really? But Jason is sitting there. He's like, what are these? And she's like, oh, those are quiches. And he's like, oh, is there cheese in here? I can't have cheese. And just proceeds to down like 5 of them. Which quiches are like almost exclusively cheese. Cheese and egg.
I think this is what gave I rated Jason as an A- for this episode. He was so close. He was so that's a good grade.
That's a really good grade. No, I'm very
is,
happy.
Considering that you've been giving him Fs, I'd say that's good.
I'm trying to give him a fair shake. He has been only a little bit gross.
I love this. No, I love this. So real quick, they're at the party. Brendan asks Shannon to come outside. He tells Melissa, like, hey, come outside, bring the camera. He apologizes to Shannon. He says, sorry about the whole thing. Let's be friends. He shakes hands. And then as he's shaking his hand, he's like, oh, hey, Shannon, what's this? And then just sucker punches him in the stomach. Shannon is doubled over. He's crying. He's in pain. Melissa tells Brendan, run. And he's like, I am running. He's got the garden gnome, which there's your garden gnome for this episode.
Perfect gift.
Yep, he's doing the garden gnome. He's dancing. Shannon tells Melissa to cut the camera. She does, and Shannon just stands up and he's like, all right, cool. Melissa's like, should I get your parents? And he's like, no, I'm cool.
Yep.
I'm cool. Shannon totally, he said, you gotta let him win one.
And, Shannon's all right.
And you uncrossed off, is Shannon a good guy?
Well, I did write down at the very end, why is Shannon a cool guy again?
I'm not gonna lie, there's an episode, I think it's season 3, one of my favorite episodes with Shannon, and it makes you love Shannon even more.
Oh, I'm excited.
I think he's just an understanding guy. I think he likes competition and he's okay with losing, which is very, very hard to do when you're a bully.
Yeah, there you go.
He also constantly looks like he's in the middle of a rap battle.
Yeah, he's the arms crossed. I like the arms crossed look. So there you go. That's it. That is season 1, episode 3, The Art of the Sucker Punch. First real episode with Bully Shannon, one of my favorite characters.
Are they all your favorite characters?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I figured.
When I say my favorite character or my favorite episode, it's like 90% of them.
Yeah. I can't wait to get to one of those 10%ers.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. So if you haven't heard previous episodes, Marcin, you've been pretty. We'll go around. We'll give the episode an overall grade, and then Marcin kind of drops a grade for Jason. Mm-hmm. And if you're keeping track, the last 2 grades were straight up Fs.
Yeah,
he's been so gross.
I get it. H. John Benjamin says at first he's like, I'm playing him gross. I get it.
The thing is, I think he has room to grow. I want to give him a fair shake, but the second I saw him covered in mud, I was like, here we go again.
You prejudged him.
I did prejudge him, but then when the quiches came up and he was already sucking down, I can't have cheese. I'm like, all right, we got to cut right now. Because otherwise that grade was going to go down. But I'm interested in the idea of the top 5 the 5 UPN episodes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think after we get through all of them, I would want to judge them all together and which ones were the best and whatnot.
Yeah,
based off of the fact that they are a very particular series of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and even like I said, just in general, I rarely watch these original ones, but coming back and especially breaking them down and looking into them, I don't want to say exponential, but the growth in quality as the episodes go on is so drastic, especially in this first season. So I'm really happy we get to experience these first episodes and that you guys are enjoying them, because that just tells me that as the series goes on, you're just going to enjoy it more and more. So
hell yeah.
Marcin, overall this episode, if you had to give it a grade, what would you say?
Well, I think this was, not to go judging the other 2 episodes we just saw, but episode 2 didn't really feel like there was much of a story. This one actually felt like there was a lot more of a story. I definitely give it an A.
Nice.
I think the story went from beginning of an episode, here's the problem, end of episode, solution.
There's a very coherent throughout story in this episode.
And it was pretty funny too.
Yes.
Yeah. Shannon made me laugh a lot.
Yeah. I like that Shannon isn't your stereotypical bully. So I'm going to give it an A as well.
Nice.
It was a good episode.
Nice. Well, I think we're going to have to rename this episode The Fonz, because I'm going to give it an A as well. Hey, we did it. No, Shannon, I do love Shannon, the character, voiced by Emo Phillips. Again, I feel super hilarious comedian. Like you said, very coherent story, beginning, middle, and end. I liked the whole premise. They're still able to work in some kind of movie with them doing the documentary. I think it really does kind of show Brendan is a very self-centered character. He's very selfish. And, the fact that one thing happened to his friend and he was able to turn it into a giant to-do, I think speaks to, I don't know, not only his selfishness, but his creativity.
His character, I didn't even think about it, the fact that they were also doing a documentary at the same time. I was just like, this is a fight. So I didn't even put that together. But I have been noticing how much of an egomaniac he's starting to be. And I'm like, okay, where are we going to go with this one?
Yeah. Now, as far as your grade for Jason this episode,
I gave him an A-. I gave him an A- because I don't think he deserved anything less because he wasn't gross. He was just like at the end just ignorantly gross. I was as long as we cut before anything happened, I think it was good. But I felt bad for him, especially when I was like, oh, Jason is gross yet again, and then I crossed it out. I was like, never mind, not his fault this time.
I do wonder if this episode they were like, ooh, Jason's been kind of let's get a little sympathy for this character now.
Poor Jason.
I mean, what do you mean poor Jason? As he clearly stated in the beginning,
His grossness doesn't bother me.
brings it on himself.
His gross is, we're all gross a little bit in our own way.
I think as a human being, everyone is gross to an extent. I do, but there's a difference between being gross and like, yeah, sorry, I was a little gross, and him being like, so here's how I was gross today. I did this, and here's my little finger, and I'm going to show you what I did with it. And I just stop it, Jason.
He's just a baby. He's just a little baby. He doesn't know.
What do you mean?
He's just a little baby 8-year-old.
He's a baby 8-year-old who's so gross. I don't want to look at him. He's the type of child that you'd see at a grocery store and want to leave so quick.
It's very specific.
Like he's just wiping his snot all over on the food, and you're like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, that would be if he touched anything at a grocery store, I'd be like, do not buy that one.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I get it. So, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for season 1, episode 3.
Yeah.
I guess, do we want to do plugs? You guys got anything you want to plug or promote?
I mean, besides the usual, we're starting Puzzle Valley 2000 soon.
Hell yeah.
Which is the sequel series to PVH, which was set in 2018, which is on Eldritch Journeys. It's a high school teen detective story audio drama that I did with an original soundtrack, and I put a lot of work into it. I love it so much. And then me, Adele, and Tim, so I didn't want to say you and you, are also doing Season of the Cursed 2, which is we're doing it so far. It's we're in production. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I keep having to tell myself because I just want it to be done, but that's the enjoyment of it. That's going to be coming out sometime, but keep an eye on that one.
And I would highly recommend Season of the Curse. The first one is out there.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, very, 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 very classic college film. Every time I tell people about this project, they're like, "Oh, should we look at the original?" I'm like, not yet. I want you to wait till the Season of the Curse 2 trailer drops so you can kind of judge the jump in quality.
Dude,
but
I love picking up projects at the very beginning to see the increase in quality, not just the quality of the camera and the quality of the audio, but the quality of the acting. Now you've been doing it, Mm-hmm. You even said yourself this has been a lot more of a well-oiled machine than it was the first time you guys did it. So.
Yeah, the evolution of any creative endeavor is great. And I love actually going back and looking at other people's like first thing that they did and then seeing where they are now, because no one likes the first thing that they did. I mean, if they do, it's more for sentimental reasons, I would say. I like Season of the Curse. I disparage myself for no reason. I'm just excited for it, and that's what I have to plug. What do you guys have to plug?
Well, if you remember the episode before, I said I was going to make an Instagram for my art.
Did you do that?
I did not do that.
You got me so amped up.
I'm so sorry. It will be coming soon.
Let's do this. If you do make it by the time we release this episode, I'll do a little cut in right here.
Okay.
And I will add what the Instagram for your art
Sick.
Instagram is.
Thank you.
Do you know what the name's going to be?
Artisanal of Oddity. ARTIS Anal of Oddity.
As always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner podcast. They are nice enough to let us use their recording studio. So please, I encourage you to check out the Happy Corner podcast, KB and Amy, 3 Sundays a month. Go live on Twitch and YouTube. And then you can find the audio version wherever podcasts can be found. It's the Happy Corner podcast.
How long have they been doing that?
I think they're on season 8.
Did you say they started in 2015?
Yes. There was a little while where KB moved.
Yeah.
So the podcast kind of went on hiatus. And then when she came back, it literally picked right back up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, they stream on Twitch, they stream on YouTube, and then, like I said, audio versions of the podcast are available, a couple days after the live stream.
Yeah, they got a sick studio. I like that cloud that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
We got 3 clouds, and we got to hang them
Over
up.
there too.
Oh,
Damn.
Jump scare.
that's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 1, Episode 4, Brendan Gets Rabies. If you liked what you heard, check out our link tree at RHM Pod. There you can like and subscribe, email us, or leave a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. For myself, Tim, and my co-hosts Marcin and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies. We'll see you next week. Bye.